I think that we need to look at the actions of the South Central Labor Federation of Wisconsin, who adopted a resolution that called for the consideration of a general strike in response to Governor Scott Walker's initiative to eliminate collective bargaining in Wisconsin. The fact that an AFL-CIO affiliated body would call for a general strike speaks to the necessity of a fight back from the rank and file. When the response of the labor leaders and the Democratic Party to this resolution was, no, you shouldn't do a general strike. The focus should be on recalling Republican senators in Wisconsin, as if that were the appropriate response to these attacks. People in the labor movement at the top are intimidated by the threats of lawsuits from employers. Therefore, they discourage rank and filers from taking the kind of action that the International Longshore and Warehouse Union Local 10 asserted on April the 4th. To show you the depths of the problem, there were 2 rallies in the Bay Area on April the 4th. One was done by the Central Labor Council of Alameda County. The second was done by the San Francisco Labor Council. At both rallies, there was no Local 10 speaker to talk about the historic action that had been taken by the rank and file on that day. We were not allowed to speak, even though the announcements were made to the respective crowds about the action that we had taken, but no speakers for Local 10. Because the action that Local 10 took that day was not a part of the official policy of the AFL-CIO. I don't want to knock rallies, they're important. I don't want to knock marches, they are important. Anytime you can mobilize the rank and file and workers of all descriptions, it's important. But we need to be clear that rallies, marches, candlelight vigils are not going to be the thing that stops the onslaught on the working class. The only real power and leverage that we have is the ability to withhold our labor. And that was the issue of the day. And because of the fact that Local 10 did something that was off script, we were basically censored. Yes, we applaud what they did, but that's Local 10. The other part of it was candlelight vigils are okay, rallies are okay, marches okay, hanging up Wisconsin banners upside down on all the ports on the East Coast and West Coast, that's okay. But the employers really don't care about that. But when you shut down international cargo for 24 hours, that they care about, and that's the reason why we're being sued in federal court by the Pacific Maritime Association. The message that they're sending to Local 10 and to all other ILWU workers is that if you take these kinds of actions, we will take you to court. But this reminds us of the civil rights movement when Dr. King and others engage in civil disobedience, challenging existing laws that were in fact illegal. Just because a law is in effect doesn't make it right. They have to be challenged. If workers are silenced and cannot support one another when they are in distress, then what is the point of having a labor movement? If in fact we are under attack, the best line of defense is to engage the rank and file. The action that Local 10, in solidarity with the Wisconsin workers in workers in 15 other states where collective bargaining is on the table, speaks to the whole fundamental issue of solidarity. Workers voluntarily decided not to go to work in solidarity with those workers. This was not a collaboration with the employer where they allow us to change our union meeting date to accommodate an action. This was old school, longshore organizing, word of mouth, talking to one member at a time about the need to take this action. It was also important for our young members to understand about the connection with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who 6 months before his assassination became an honorary member of Local 10. He spoke at Local 10. The occasion was a 7-city concert tour fundraiser for the Southern Christian Leadership Council. Dr. King spoke of the importance of the coalition developing between the civil rights movement, or what he defined as the Negro freedom movement, and the labor movement, because he said this represents a bulwark for democracy, meaning it's a defense of democracy for those two forces to come together. He was in Memphis, Tennessee when he was assassinated in order to support the sanitation workers who were also fighting for collective bargaining. These are all historical milestones and footnotes of history that went into our workers volunteering not to go to work. I define it as a voluntary rank and file action that resulted in an organized act of resistance. This is the way that the labor movement has to go right now. Anything short of that is not going to swing the pendulum in our direction, in my opinion. These opinions that I'm expressing to you are my own. I'm not speaking as a officer, or should I say as a executive board member of Local 10, although I am. These are my views, and it's important for me to express that to the listening audience here today. But I think that it's inevitable that we have to do this. When we talk about International Workers' Day, which was started in the United States of America, one of the reasons why the government and the labor tops changed our International Workers' Day to, quote, Labor Day, devoid of any real historical significance, is because they were trying to break the chain of labor solidarity. If workers around the world celebrate International Workers' Day because of what workers did in the 1880s in America to bring about the 8-hour workday, it also underscores the importance of rank and file action. Mobilization, like I said before, is fine, but there has to be a certain kind of a political outcome for our struggle. And that means that we have to hit them where it hurts, in the pocketbook. That's all that we have. And if we don't exercise that leverage, then nothing is going to change. We're not going to have a fight back movement. I think it's a positive development that the AFL-CIO is participating in May Day here at Union Square. Last year, that wasn't the case. In 2005, when we initiated May Day 1 year following the Million Worker March, that was not the case. That's the first step.